Welcome to a football show, Monday edition. He is Zach. I am Braden. Welcome in Monday, because preseason finales are over and the cuts are coming. College football is coming, and we've got a big show planned. Zach, good afternoon, sir. How
Good
are you?
afternoon. You called it a victory Monday as you're wearing your little Vanderbilt shirt and stuff to talk
As a
about that
Tennessee
college.
alumni,
It's a disgusting, shameless display. I am utterly disgusted. You would never catch me wearing a Auburn shirt, for
Auburn.
anything.
See, now you're going to get me like taking shots at Vanderbilt, and I'm trying to celebrate Vanderbilt today. Vanderbilt's not a factor in Tennessee football history and life. They had a couple of good wins. Auburn is a genuine factor in Alabama. They hate each other desperately. That's a two-sided rivalry. This has been a one-sided rivalry. And also, let me be very clear. If you give me free gear, I will wear it. That's it. That's all there is to it. I'm wearing my official coach's shirt for the Vanderbilt Commodores. Victory Monday. Take the over 2.5 like we told you to. And we got some other news about Vanderbilt as well. We'll get to that a little bit later on in the show. We'll obviously recap the preseason finale, the win, another victory Monday over the Cardinals. We'll talk Malik Willis. We'll talk 53-man roster. We'll talk cuts. We will talk about Brett Kern because, Zach, you told the good folks to be prepared for this weeks ago. And now
I tried to will into an existence 2 punters. I tried my best to try to get it going, but it failed ultimately.
It was just it's so weird going back to like once I saw the news and then I went back and watched the game and listening to John Robinson answer questions in the third and fourth quarter about the punting situation, knowing that Brett Kern has been cut already was quite interesting and entertaining watching his body language and everything. So we got a lot of stuff to discuss on the show. SEC football coming up this week. We're going to cover that a lot on Thursday. So we got a lot of fun stuff to talk about on Thursday. We'll have a reaction to the official 53-man Titans roster and a preview for week 1 in college football coming up on Thursday. But today is all about wrapping up the preseason. Want to remind everybody, of course, before we do any of that, Zach, about our wonderful and amazing title sponsors, Weiss Liquors. Go check them out. Uber Eats, search Weiss Liquors, and
Sorry, I wasn't paying attention. I was reading something. They drive so you can drink.
There we go. They drive so you can drink. Search Weiss Liquors on Uber Eats. Have them ship the booze in as quickly as 20 minutes right to your doorstep. It's pretty cool. 2022, there are some positive things about technological development and enhancements in our ability to acquire alcohol. So go to Weiss Liquors. And if you pop in, you pop in the store right there on Gallatin, right by Titan Stadium, of course, in East Nashville. You, of course, will get 10% off if you mention 440 at the cashier checkout there. So go check that out. Also, Kingston Group, buildkg.com. Let Nashville's locally owned custom home and remodeling firm. Make sure you check out the Kingston Group. Always just have a conversation with them before you make any big decisions about your house. It is not asking too much, Zach. It's not.
No, it's not. You definitely got to go talk to the experts. You don't want to just go to, some guy in your neighborhood who, is named Tim and you're like, yeah, I'll come do some work for you. And then it just never gets done. And if it does get done, it gets done incorrectly.
There's a lot of contractors like that in this city right now they're predatory contractors who are attacking you and your house and your money. Kingston Group is the opposite of all of that. It's the name you can trust. It's award-winning, locally owned, and they do the best possible job in the market. I guarantee it. My family uses them, so you should too. Go check them out. Now, we also have some really cool news coming soon, so stay tuned. We got a lot of big things happening on a football show coming to a neighborhood near you potentially. So just
look at that little thing.
Yep, just check it out. And we do have the Fantasy Football League. I know we've talked about this. We do actually have 8 slots available. And I have told you guys, Donnie and Kevin, a few of you guys that are the main commenters that have been with us since the beginning, I want to make sure you guys get grandfathered in. So shoot me a DM on Twitter, and we'll talk about getting you guys into the league. Otherwise, make the case. Make the case in the comments right here on YouTube, on Facebook. Make the case for you to belong in our league, where you get to talk shit to Zach on a weekly basis.
And listen, as Stoney can attest, I don't care if someone's 9-year-old brother is playing. I am going to talk shit about all your draft picks.
And you don't change your language for the kids, right?
No. Yeah, I was in a Sobros league a couple of years ago, and I was like, who the fuck drafts, such and such in this round? What an idiot. And then Stoney deems me, goes, hey, that's my little cousin. He's 9. I said, well, you should teach your little cousin how to play fantasy football.
Got to teach them young, man. You got to teach them young. You got to teach them young.
Discriminate.
So make your case, whether it's on Twitter or in the comment section here on the show. Somehow, some way, make your case while you belong in the league. We got 8 slots available, and the draft, of course, will take place next week. And maybe in real time, we'll see what happens. So, all right, let's get into Brett Kern here, because the announcement came. The Titans put out an actual statement, with the same kind of cliche language, like he's one of the greatest. He's a professional. We've loved him forever, but he's not good enough at football anymore, so we're cutting him. And Ryan Stonehouse won the job, and certainly in the preseason finale against Arizona, and what we talked about on the show last week, that he was just dropping bombs in practice, and nobody could catch him either. Like they were tough to catch. You had this before everybody else, man. I'll give you credit.
Well, we've been talking since the end of June, beginning of July about this situation. That heck, will they keep 2 punters? Will Brett Kern retire and do the smart thing and retire and keep the money? Let the Titans have an easy out so they don't have to release all this stuff and get all these people that in these emotional states, like Brett Kern was their brother. He delivered their child into this world. He's, just the way that people act sometimes is just astonishing.
Yeah.
But
I mean, he's a beloved member of the team. Yeah. He's a funny guy.
And listen, I appreciate everything Brett Kern's done. He's about to go play for the Buffalo Bills, so he can go suck some ass, because I don't want him to be any good anymore. I don't care anymore about Brett Kern. As soon as Brett Kern said he was released, he got 5 minutes of emotional space, and now it's on to screw Brett Kern. He's a Buffalo Bill. I hope they lose. I hope his leg flies off on a punt. I just want him to explode like an action figure out there.
How does one go about sucking ass?
I can't get into this. Is a children's show.
Is it?
Yeah. This. I think that if anybody was surprised, they weren't reading the tea leaves, right? And I don't think that many people are surprised, especially after this last weekend. I don't think there's like some shock on Twitter. I was still hoping for the strategic move of keeping both of them so Brett Kern doesn't go to the Buffalo Bills, because he's from the Buffalo area. He more than likely grew up a Bills fan. So now he gets to go because they, drafted a criminal. Which they released. They have this Brett Kern-sized hole on the roster. And what did the Titans do? Gift him one of the most accurate, and still can kick 58 yards, punters, and you face them in week 2. See, that's the issue they have. Facing the Bills and Brett Kern in the playoffs, don't really care. Facing Brett Kern when he's still relatively fresh in the season at his age, that's a concern. So I think you could have easily had a complete roster and screwed over the Bills, and maybe that's not how you're supposed to operate, but
yeah,
AFC contender, man. I mean, like, you give them one of the best punter, you gift wrap them one of the best punters in the league.
And don't the Colts also need a punter as well, in theory?
Yeah, but if you're choosing between the Colts and you're choosing between the Bills and you're Brett Kern, because he does not get claimed. He does not go through waivers. He's immediately a free agent, is immediately able to sign anywhere he wants to.
Okay.
When are you choosing?
Oh, if you're him, you're going Buffalo. Yeah. No question. Here's the question. Which player, like, let's talk through the strategy of keeping him for 2 weeks even.
Yeah.
What if you just kept him for 2 games and you cut him? Is there a salary implication there? Because
his salary becomes fully guaranteed because he's a vested veteran. So, but in the big scheme of things, is $2.2 million worth that much money? Unless you're going to make some move, you don't really need, the way the Titans typically do business throughout the year, you don't need that $2.2 million for some massive signing or some massive trade, because that's not what the Titans do. Unless they're going to do something now, like Darius Slayton is available and he has like a $3 or $4 million cap hit or something like that. So maybe that money goes towards Darius Slayton, stuff like that I could see. But to me, I get it. I totally understand it. And I think that Ryan Stonehouse is obviously the future. You weren't cutting Ryan Stonehouse no matter what.
Yeah.
So the only other 3 options were you keep both, or he retires, or you just straight out cut him, and they chose straight out cut him.
No, you convinced, like, you were on this like right before camp, and we kind of talked about it, and I was like, what? That sounds crazy. And then as camp went along, like, it just was obvious that it was that Stonehouse was going to be the guy at some point, and it happened. I think during practice Wednesday and Thursday, they were like, yeah, this dude's legit. He's the guy. And then in the game, he was He just was, I mean, like 70-yard bombs. Like he was clearly the guy. So I think having the extra couple $1,000,000 if you want to go get an offensive line piece or a wide receiver piece or, whatever, somebody gets hurt, I think it's okay. Are you going to lose to Buffalo because of Brett Kern?
I don't know. The Patriots lost to the Titans because of Brett Kern.
I mean, that's fair, but that was a different Brett Kern, maybe.
Yeah, but I don't know. I just get into this thing where it's like, it's the Titans' luck, right? There is a certain amount of bad luck that, lingers around the Tennessee Titans in certain games. And this seems like one of those things that can happen at any moment. We're down, 5 points. We get a stop on defense, but he kicks it and puts us at the 1 with 30 seconds left. Like it can happen. Crazier things have happened to this team. I think that there's not only is that
crazier. The Titans have done crazier things to the Bills, though. Yeah. To be fair,
there is the ramification of obviously him going to the Bills, but there's also the ramification of you're putting a lot on Ryan Stonehouse now. Like everybody's going to compare every kick he's got this season to Brett Kern would have done it this way.
Yeah,
Brett Kern would have done it that way. So, I'm hoping, and all Ryan Stonehouse has to do is learn to drop it inside the 20, right? Not let it go out of bounds and drop it. That shouldn't be too hard. I thought, let me get your read on this, because someone said the muffed punt was a horrible punt in one of my group chats, the one where the guy obviously couldn't catch it, and the Titans recovered it. I said, well, they've been practicing in practice this uncatchable punt.
Practicing in practice.
Yeah, practicing in practice.
Novel concepts. In practice.
They've been practicing that play in that particular kind of kick in practice, right? I mean, that's what they've been doing. You talked about it that all day. And typically what this team does is stuff they do in practice, they put it into the game, right? Do you think that they specifically called for that play to happen because it is a preseason game? They just want to see what happens.
So this is interesting to me because I think his natural kicking style, when you're not trying to do anything but just boom it, is very difficult to catch. I don't know, because sometimes you might twist the way you drop it or the way you spin it because you want it to come back when you're pooching, right? Or when you're trying to short kick it or kick it into the corner. Like, I don't think you change. I don't think he has, and somebody could ask him this. I don't think there is a different type of kick unless there's like a way he spirals it. I just think when he kicks it, from what I was watching, is that it spirals so fast. It spirals like a quarterback throwing the football. And I think that's just his natural kicking style. And they were just very difficult to catch. There was one during that day of practice on Wednesday where he kind of missed it a little bit, and it like came off end over end and like wobbly, and it went like 35 yards instead of like 65 yards. So it seemed like that was the one he missed. It didn't feel like there was a set play, if that makes sense. But learning how to manipulate the football so that it drops and comes back, I think is a thing. I just think his balls are real hard to catch, Zach. I just think he's, just got some tough balls.
He's got some tough balls to get your hands on.
Yeah, tough balls to get your hands on. Stoney, of course, says, I know this is a children's show, but we might as well start calling him Stonecock because that leg is rock hard. Here we go.
And he pulled into a Taco Bell parking lot just to post that comment.
No free shouts, Stoney. No free shouts. All right. So anything else on Kern? Listen, I think it's an emotional thing for people, but like, what's best for the team is Ryan Stonehouse. Full stop.
So. And that was going to be the case. I think that people just get too attached to players. While we've seen the Titans, they don't get very sentimental about it. They may say some like, hand job kind of thing, wank motion kind of thing, like, oh, this is the hardest day we'll have made cuts, and that's the hardest cut that we'll make. Like, yeah, give me a break. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't that hard. So I think that the fans, obviously short for fanatic, they are the ones that are getting emotional. I don't think that the team was very emotional. I don't think John Robinson was up at night crying about Brett Kern and being consoled by his wife and daughters.
It wasn't that hard, is what you're saying.
It was not that hard.
I see what you did there. All right, so let's move on from Brett Kern, of course. Football show brought to you by Weiss Liquors and Kingston Group. Go check them out. Other Titans cuts. So far, Willie Wright, your man, Willie Wright.
So glad he's out of here.
He gone.
He should never play. He should just quit football right now. I don't know what his degree is in college, but he should pursue whatever that degree is in. Get a career in that.
So mean spirited. Tyree Gillespie is out as well, the guy they just traded for, but that is a conditional draft pick, which means because he was cut, they get that draft pick back again. So that's cool.
That coveted 7th round 2024 draft pick. Listen, as soon as this cut was announced, someone in the group chat goes, wasted a draft pick. And I go, well, dude, it was conditional, and it's a 2024 7th. Like, I think we can pick that up. Like, let's relax on this. I was a little surprised by this cut because I really thought that he was going to make it on the back end because he's played extremely well when he's been on the field. So I was kind of surprised because A.J. Moore is obviously injured. And first off, even when A.J. Moore is healthy, he sucks. He should not be on this team. So now I think that what is going to happen is that obviously Lonnie Johnson's going to make the team. I always had him as a lock, but I think this makes room for Josh Kalu to be on the roster.
We'll get to our 53 kind of projections here, but
a guy like this who gets cut, he is going to be probably available once waivers clear. And I'm going to talk about the vaunted waiver wire of cut day that everybody's so concerned about with another player later. But there's a good chance that you'll see Tyree Gillespie get put back on the practice squad and probably be the first guy called up, so to speak, for the defensive backs.
Yeah, and although you did have, I think you had Gillespie and I think there was somebody else, maybe Colbert, maybe. So Adrian Colbert also was cut. Hayden Howerton, the offensive lineman, the rookie UDFA, was cut.
He'll be on the team.
He'll be on the team
practice squad.
This is where we were at. This is where we're at right now as of time of taping. So we'll give you our projections on what's coming. So that means where are we at then? Does that mean we're at about 75 now?
Yeah, we should be at 75.
Okay. All right. So there's still. We'll get to what we think are the final decisions here coming up because I think they have some really difficult decisions to make. And on Tuesday, 3 p.m. is when they have to make those cuts. You'll probably see this information trickle out. Check out Justin Mello, by the way, Broadway Sports Media. He'll give you lots of good.
He's got a lot of text messages out there to agents.
Yes,
so he's trying to get the information.
So any thoughts on the cut? I mean, Howerton will make like you said, the practice squad. 2 safeties getting cut. I don't think that was big of a surprise, though.
No, I think it was the name of. I think the only surprise out of this list was Tyree Gillespie.
Okay, all right.
To me, at least.
Yeah,
I mean, it's not like an earth-shattering cut or anything. It's just that I'm more surprised that A.J. Moore's still around, not Tyree Gillespie.
So here's by the way, $550,000 of dead money for Kern. $2.2 million is saved in case you missed that. Here's the other thing that you, as we joke about 7th rounders and special teams, that kind of occurred to me. Like, the guy we have not mentioned, I don't think, or talked about much at all this entire preseason camp that used to be one of the biggest issues, Randy Bullock.
Yep.
Randy Bullock is just sort of quietly like gobbling up, field goals left and right.
He's just Fat Randy doing Fat Randy things, He's a kicker, and we're good.
Randy's got integrity, man. He's got integrity. All right. Let's get into the season preseason finale, the win. I've convinced you. I feel like that Logan Woodside is not going to make the team. You
didn't convince me. Malik Willis convinced me.
That's fair. Here's what Malik Willis's final numbers were for all 3 games, and I'll give you all of these numbers sort of all together. He was 28 of 51 passing, so 54% completion percentage, 318 yards. 6.2 yards per attempt, not great, but okay. 14 rushing attempts, 159 yards, and a touchdown there on the ground. Over 11 yards per carry running the football, so he scored 3 total touchdowns. 28 drives, 27 full possessions, 14 punts, 9 scores, 4 touchdowns, 3 turnovers. 1, I think, ended actually with Woodside in charge, and then 2 turnover on downs. So what do you make of the whole body of work for Malik Willis? Because I feel like when I read your article, I got a pretty clear message.
Well, I mean, really, he basically won the job, in my opinion. What can he not do that Logan Woodside can? Literally, there is nothing. There is nothing that he can do that he can't do that Logan Woodside can. I mean, at this point, this idea that you're talking about a guy in Malik Willis who hasn't had a problem with getting snaps under center. He hasn't had a problem handing off correctly, so there's no fumble exchange between him and the running back. He's been able to get them in and out of the huddle quickly and in and out of the huddle in the right spots. That's all stuff that Logan Woodside was supposed to be better at than him at, and clearly better than him at. And those were some of his strongest attributes since game one. And he's improved every week, which if you improve every week and then you're going to be the main backup quarterback and get to improve at every practice exponentially, there's just no reason for Logan Woodside. He can be on the practice squad, but there's no reason to keep him. And that was my main takeaway, is that we said it from the outset. It's not impossible for Malik Willis to take the quarterback backup position. It's just that he's got to go out there and do it and show that he can improve. It's all on Malik Willis. It's not really on Logan Woodside.
No,
it's all on Malik Willis. And guess what Malik Willis did? He took it. Now, was it great and was it the prettiest thing ever? No. Is our boy Sam Howell killing it over in Washington? He was pretty good this preseason. I just want to throw that out there. Sam Howell was killing it over in the preseason. He's probably was the best rookie quarterback. You can make an argument for Kenny Pickett, I think, but Kenny Pickett played it safe all year. Sam Howell was launching bombs. I'm just throwing it out there.
My guy. Hey, that's my guy. I told you guys he had the best arm of anybody in the draft.
Yeah.
Sam Howell. Also 9 sacks from Malik Willis. He had 4 of them on Saturday against Arizona. I don't know how you feel about the sack issue. Still clearly holding the football. But again, I don't think that's part of the conversation, to your point. I think your point is Woodside v. Willis, and there's nothing that he can't do. And, oh, by the way, he gives you upside and long-term potential. To me, it's a no-brainer as well. So,
yeah, I think that when you're looking at the preseason, Malik Willis has been 2 of those sacks that he's gotten in the preseason, because he's been sacked a lot. 2 of them are on him. And then he's got 4 additional hurries that are on him. The rest of the blame goes to the offensive line. So that's from PFF's allowed pressure stats. So, and really, when it comes down to it, he's not really that terrible at that. And that's over 3 games. In extensive playing time, he's only responsible for 2 of his own sacks. So I think that in the end, yeah, you want to see him get the ball out quicker. But I feel like every week he improved in that too. And I think a lot of it has to do with a hurry up offense. It's more scripted plays. But even as the game went on, he still looked good. He looked like a guy that can run and be Ryan Tannehill, diet Ryan Tannehill, if he needed to be for 2 quarters. And if he has the time to prepare for a full game, it's not going to be pretty, but he can still win you games if he has to play for extended period of time, and he'll improve every chance he gets.
Yeah, I think that's correct. And I think it's, I felt that way after watching the first game, where I said, this guy gives you upside. This guy gives you opportunity. This guy gives you growth and potential, and all these words that sort of are nebulous. I still was concerned about his ability to manage a game, but I think right now I think that's all. He's just too good. Like, he's too athletic. He's too talented.
And
he's
too
got
smart.
Too much upside.
He's just too smart.
He works his butt off. Yeah.
To me, Malik Willis is everything you want in a quarterback. And I think some people overreact a little, but I think in the end, everybody's going to look back and wonder why Malik Willis fell to the 3rd round towards the, maybe not this year, but next year and the year after. They'll start a lot of revisionist history will be made around that. Or a lot of people will say, I told everybody it was a 1st round pick and nobody wanted to listen. That's just what it will be.
Look, it is very obvious how talented he is and how hardworking he is and the right mindset and all the things that you and I have said on the show for weeks now. Let's not go crazy and start calling him the future quarterback of the next generation of Titans football just yet. Let's just.
What's it going to take for you to even allow that to trickle into your mind?
I mean,
don't you kind of look at it and think that, okay, he's improved every week. He's going to get a lot of time with the backups, and he's going to get a lot of practice time. A lot of attention will be paid to his growth throughout the year. Doesn't that just signal that, okay, if they need him to start games next year, or even need him to start games this year, it will be exciting, it'll be fun, and he'll be with better skill players around him? Because you got to remember, his offensive lines have been shit.
No, I think it is. I think it is totally fair and okay for Titans fans to get excited about the potential. I think that's totally in bounds. I think that's great. I just Kansas City cut Alex Smith or traded him, I guess, to Washington so abruptly and quickly. It was just like, yeah, we're going with Mahomes. Like, it was so obvious
Well,
that
it was after the first year, though. I mean, it wasn't
no,
when they drafted Patrick Mahomes.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like, if the Titans do that right away, like if the season ends, and like their
Tannehill's on the trade block,
and the first thing that happens is either the contract is he gets cut or whatever, like they make the decision to go with Willis immediately, then I will be more confident and buy in a little bit more with the potential. But honestly, this goes for Tannehill. This goes for Aaron Rodgers in the NFC Championship games. This goes for everybody. Like, I got to see it. I got to see it on the field in real games when it matters. And when we get to watch that, not preseason games and not practice, but when we get to watch that, then we're all going to learn as a city and as a fan base together about what his actual upside is. Does he belong in the first round, or was it right that he fell to the third? We're all going to learn in real time, just like we're all going to learn if Ryan Tannehill can win a Super Bowl in real time in the playoffs this year. So, that's all kind of like, can Todd Downing design an offense? We're all going to learn. Like, it's just we have to kind of acquire data on him, and right now he's got no data. So
yeah,
but the talent is just obvious. It's just there. What about the offensive line? Any thoughts?
Well, I mean, obviously the guys that are getting cut are trash, but can we be honest for a second about Dylan Radins as a guard? He's much better as a guard than a tackle. Quit trying to make this Dylan Radins a tackle thing exist. It's done. It's over. The proof is in the pudding. He is a much better guard, and I still agree with you that essentially, why not go ahead and maybe start Radins out as guard now? And why wait till maybe Aaron Brewer gets injured, or you find out that Aaron Brewer can't handle the interior pressure and the size of the opposing defensive lineman? To me, why wait? Because obviously Dylan Radins is beefier and I think is going to be a little bit better than Aaron Brewer. So why not start there? That's just kind of how I feel.
I think there's a dependability with Aaron Brewer that it's a safe play. You can go safe. And I think that may be their line of thinking, and then see how it works. And the Giants aren't exactly they've got some nice pieces, but I don't think the Giants are terrifying in the interior. Are they going to be able to run the ball on the Giants? Yes. The answer is yes, with either one of them. So maybe it doesn't matter. It's more about what happens against Buffalo and Ed Oliver the next week. The next week is that I'm more concerned about. And does that get Radins ready for that, or do you want Brewer for that? And I don't know where the coaching staff head is right now. But you tweeted out the numbers. Go check out the tweet.
It's 0 pressures on all he did like 24 snaps. I mean, to me, it's just a no-brainer for him. I don't understand. There's still people out there that are wanting to make him a tackle. I mean, 24 pass blocking snaps, 0 pressures allowed. He had a pass blocking grade take that for what it's worth from PFF, 86.4. As a tackle in 2 preseason games, 19 pass blocking snaps, so less snaps, 2 pressures allowed, and that's not even counting maybe pressures or plays that he messed up on that didn't even affect the play, right? I mean,
well, no, that they did, and Malik Willis got out of it.
Yeah, or right? Something like well, that would still, I think, be a quarterback hurry, I think. But
that makes sense. There was one, though, where Radins had maybe it was on Willis then, because Radins had the block, but then Willis ran around, and maybe that was more on Willis. Maybe you're right about that.
He had, in those games, he had pass blocking grades of 33.2 and 17.8. And someone's like, 2 pressures allowed on 19 snaps is not bad. I said, dude, that is 10.5% pressures allowed on the basis. So if you took Ryan Tannehill took 598 dropbacks last year, okay, that would have been 63 pressures that he would have allowed. That would have been the second most pressures in the league and 20 more than what David Quessenberry allowed, who allowed the most for a right tackle. He's not a tackle. There's no way objectively you can think that this guy has a future as a left tackle, right tackle. It doesn't matter. He is not a tackle. That's what I learned about the offensive line. Besides, the rest of the guys suck, and I kind of want to go back to Xavier Newman-Johnson. Him and Jordan Roos, I don't know which one to put on the list and which one not, but I think
Roos is going to make the team.
I don't know. That's what I have, but I would not be surprised with Xavier Newman-Johnson, the way he's played and the way he's practiced, if he doesn't make it in over Jordan Roos. I just wouldn't be surprised.
I would not. How about this? I would not be surprised if he makes the roster.
Yeah.
I feel like I would be surprised if it was in exchange of Jordan Roos.
Gotcha.
It could be it could be 10 offensive linemen, for crying out loud.
It could be. Well,
So,
especially since they're not keeping 2 punters now. That really opens the door for a lot of flexibility.
which is a perfect segue, unless you got more finale reaction.
Yeah.
We got to talk Treylon Burks. Oh my God, Treylon Burks.
Yeah, he looked great.
But he got
hurt.
He
got hurt, and then he came back, and he looked great. Caught a touchdown.
And he was okay.
Loved it. And it was on a play that A.J. Brown would run is how we got that touchdown.
Yep. A nice little throw there by Willis, too, with the little
I was thoroughly impressed with most of the rookies that played. I can't really think of a rookie I wasn't really impressed with. But I think that Malik Willis, Treylon Burks, I think the team finds it really easy to root for a guy like Malik Willis. And I think that also goes a long way to helping. If Ryan Tannehill were to go down, everybody's going to play their heart out for Malik Willis. It's not going to be like a guy that they hate back there or something.
Yep. Let's get to our projections on the 53, of course. A football show brought to you by Weiss Liquors. Uber Eats, search Weiss Liquors. They will send booze directly to your house in as quickly as 20 minutes. Zach,
they drink so you can drive.
What was that? They drink so you can drive?
Oh, yeah. You drink. They drive so you can drink.
There we go. They drive so you can drink. Let them do the driving so you can drink. We're workshopping the language around the copy on the ad. Go to Weiss Liquors if you pop in the store, of course. The closest one right there by the Titan Stadium.
I tune you out when you go into your ad reads.
Why?
Because I'm reading news or I'm reading stuff. So
it's important that you are a part of the advertising, Zach. People want your voice to promote their products. You're the star here, dude.
I will quit zoning out here and there.
God, let's just pay attention to your own fucking show for once. Jesus Christ. All right. So go to what am I talking about here?
Weiss Liquors. Come on. You're professional.
It's right there next to the Titan Stadium. So if you're going to go stock up on your tailgate, swing by Weiss Liquors, pop in. And when you're buying like a gazillion bottles of booze for a huge, massive tailgate, V-Love, just say $4.40 and you'll get 10% off. And you start spending a couple $100, you're starting talking $40, $50 savings. So make sure you go save $4.40 at the cash register.
If you're tailgating and you're buying a bunch of liquor to give out to people, go save 10%. That's huge.
That's a huge amount of money, and you can do the whole Weiss the Uber Eats thing, and of course.
And I know where V-Love lives, so he can actually stop off on his way from where he lives. So.
Should we dox V-Love? Can we do that? Because he runs. He always posts photos that are like.
But he runs everywhere.
I know, but they're always around my house, and I'm always like, careful, dude. Like, just be careful with.
You need to be sitting out in the lawn, waiting for him and give him a beer, like as a marathon. Like instead of giving him a glass of water, you give him a glass of beer.
He probably would drink a beer while he's running. There's no question about that. All right, so go check them out. And of course, family owned and operated for almost 100 years. So buy local, folks. Okay, buy local. We'll get to Vanderbilt coming up in a little while. 53. I had 4 spots empty when I did this exercise. I don't know how many spots as of Monday, right before we taped. I had 4 spots empty, and the spots that I wrote in, I only could figure out 3 of them. So I know I had David Anini on the roster as a 5th outside linebacker. I had Josh Kalu on as the 4th safety, and then there's a 5th safety that I can't figure out yet. So maybe Lonnie Johnson, maybe AJ Moore. I'm not sure. Probably AJ Moore because I think they like him, even though you maybe don't.
And he hasn't fucking played a preseason game since game 1, so I think it's gonna be Lonnie Johnson out of all those guys.
I'm with you on Ugo Amadi. I've got Ugo Amadi on there, and Chris Jackson. I'm on both of those. DeMarcus Walker, I'm on you there. I'm with you there. This is the one I think you're gonna hate me for. Okay. And the guy's got to catch a freaking football. You can't drop touchdowns. You can't drop touchdowns that could win you the game at the end of games.
Which guy are you talking about? Because didn't Mason Kinsey drop a touchdown too?
But I think they're gonna keep Dez. I think they're gonna keep Dez Fitzpatrick.
I'm
not even sure why, but I think they will.
I think if they keep Dez, they're keeping Dez to cut him as soon as someone else becomes available. Like I think he's like a placeholder on the 53-man roster. I only went 5 wide receivers because first off, there's only really 5 good wide receivers to keep. Let's be honest.
I agree.
The 6th wide receiver is just going to be a guy that's probably not even active on game day. So I took him off to fit in the extra punter. But if they do keep 6 wide receivers, it's Des Fitzpatrick. Spare me that there's a competition for the
Okay.
6 wide receiver.
Okay.
There is no 6 wide receiver competition. It's Des Fitzpatrick and everybody else, mesh into one. And spare me this Reggie Roberson. They're going to keep him because he's the deep threat. Racey McMath is the deep threat. It's not going to be Reggie Roberson. There was a guy, I saw an article that had them keeping 7 wide receivers, which is utterly ridiculous.
Treylon Burks is going to be the deep threat, and Racey McMath is his backup deep threat. Right. Here's where you and I disagreed, and this is according to your article. Go check it out, of course, on BroadwaySportsMedia.com. I agreed with you with Campbell and Dylan Cole as the backup linebackers. Monty Rice, of course, is on the PUP list, so you're going to keep 2 extra guys there. That you had Deshaun Hand on your final 53.
I did, because he didn't play at all. It's like they were arresting him because he didn't get injured, right?
No, that was kind of funky.
Yeah, so, and I said in the article, this may be me reading too much into it, but I found it odd that Deshaun Hand wasn't playing, but DeMarcus Walker played 22 snaps. And then today, Deshaun Hand's not on the first wave of cuts. That makes me think that for some reason he's going to stay, and I think it may be Danico Autry insurance. Does not mean
that makes sense.
Whoever makes the 53-man roster, just if let's say Des Fitzpatrick, Deshaun Hand, and David Anini make the roster, they're more than likely going to be the first guys cut to bring in someone else. So, can Deshaun Hand make the roster? Yes. Will he be on the 53 on game day? Doubtful. Here's to me where I land on David Anini. He had 2 pass breakups and was really good the previous 2 games. We only had 2 pass breakups, no tackles, no sacks, no pressures. And on 50-something snaps. To me, that just screams like, okay, he's going to make it on the practice squad. And here's the thing. Last year, you got to remember, there are every team, all 32 teams cut 27 people, right? That is 864 players about to hit.
It's a lot of dudes. It's a lot of dudes.
Last year, only 27 waiver claims went through off of all the cuts of last year.
Okay.
So
basically 1 per team.
Basically.
Okay.
So is David Anini, out of 864 players, in the top 0.036% of players?
Well, let me ask you. So I think that's the right way to say it, but you could also say it this way. If every team is going to lose 1 player, is he the Titans' top cut? And I think you could argue he might be the Titans' top cut.
I think you could say it depends on who else gets cut. Brett Kern is obviously the top cut.
But you're kind of assuming he's gone, right? Because it's not a waiver claim, right? Like you said.
Yeah, but I look at it this way: if David Anini's cut, who's paying attention to Tennessee Titans football outside of probably the Falcons? And are the Falcons going to do anything with him to put him on the 53, or are they just going to put him on the practice squad? Is David Anini the next coming of Shaq Barrett, Cam Wake, or the next coming of Reggie Roberson? That's where I'm at. I think people have become enamored with this kid. And I think that I think the extremes that people go to make sure that David Anini sees the 53-man roster is a little much for me, because they're talking about, everybody's going to be putting in waiver claims on him. He won't make it through practice squad. Why? Why wouldn't he make it through?
I do think there's a pretty large gap between Shaq Barrett and Reggie Roberson.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm just talking about undrafted free agents that turned into something. It's Mario Addison, Shaq Barrett, and Cam Wake are the 3 out of all kinds of undrafted free agents. So what are the chances that David Anini is one of those guys that you're going to feel the burn if you lose him and someone's going to snatch him up? In all honesty, he'll probably clear through waivers, because a lot of people don't need a 5th pass rusher or a 6th pass rusher. They need running back help, or they need a backup quarterback, or they need offensive line depth. I think David Anini is going to be able to easily kind of sneak through for the Tennessee Titans. But I think he's also the first guy on my list that isn't making the team currently that would be on the team. Now Brett Kern's gone. Maybe David Anini's there.
Yeah, and so to me, it's like remove everyone else, what everyone else could do, or waivers, or paying attention or not paying attention. Like, who is the best player that doesn't make the team, like within the walls of the Titans facility? And I think you could argue that they like David Anini as much as anybody. Now, I do think that depth and injuries are important here, and this is why middle linebacker. Like, I don't think Joe Jones makes the team, but he flashed some athleticism. I'm with you.
He could because they got spots, for him now.
Right.
I mean, like,
Right.
I think Joe Jones, David Anini are the guys that I wavered the most on whether to add him or not add him back into the thing. And I think Joe Jones, something about Mike Vrabel's press conference when when he gets talking about Joe Jones, he really enjoys talking about his effort. He saved a touchdown on that one
Yeah.
play.
He ran his ass down there and made the
Yeah.
play. Yeah.
So I think that again, if he makes the roster, he's probably the guy that gets cut, pretty fairly
Yeah.
quickly. And obviously he'd get cut when Monty Rice comes up. So, you know, in Mike Vrabel's presser, he mentions something about Joe Jones always being available for practice. Dylan Cole has not always been available for practice. So those two guys could easily switch because they both do the same thing. Play really good special teams and they play their defensive roles when in the game as well as they possibly can.
I do agree with you that Deshaun Hand could be some insurance for the hand issue with Danico Autry. And I think Chance Campbell's made the roster. I think Josh Kalu's made the roster. But here's the other one, and Stoney says this in the comments as well, that they're going to keep 4 tight ends too. You have Tommy Hudson on the team. I do not. I am probably wrong about this because Mike Vrabel and the Titans love their tight ends.
He didn't play. He didn't play this game.
Yeah.
They rested him. And that to me, when I saw that Tommy Hudson didn't log a snap, that I said they want to get Chig, David Wells, and this other guy all the run they can because they know they're keeping Tommy Hudson.
What about Greg Maben?
I don't think he makes the team, but if he makes the team, then Chris Jackson's not making the team. Like I kind of feel like those guys are interchangeable in the sense that they're not very good, but they're good in a pinch. Like it's kind of weird.
It's Dez, Tommy Hudson, XNJ. Can we say that? It's not as smooth as NPF, but XNJ at lineman, Deshaun Hand, Anini, Jones, Maben, AJ Moore, Josh Kalu, Lonnie, John. Like that's like the 10 guys, and they're going to pick 4 or 5 of those guys.
Yeah,
and
I would agree with that list. I think that's a good list to look at. I think that you're choosing. I think Tommy Hudson's a lock, but that's if they're only keeping 3 tight ends, obviously he's the guy getting cut, right? So
yep. Donnie says, people are telling me that Julius Chestnut may make the roster instead of Dontrell Hilliard. Who are these people?
You need to mute those people, block those people, lose their number. Well, whoever they are, he's not making the team.
Donnie, we love you. You need new friends.
Yeah, we got to get you some new friends. When you get in the fantasy league, we'll get you in there. But, he's taking the Mekhi Sargent Memorial spot on the practice squad.
Yes. Wow. Did he die? Did Mekhi Sargent die? Or is he running back by
I haven't heard from him since the last preseason.
Running back by committee out there in Vegas, right? I think with all those guys or something like that. I'm not sure. All right, is that it for the 53? I think we're good, and we'll have a whole reaction to what the actual numbers are and the actual cuts.
How surprised would you be if Woodside makes the team? Because I would be fairly surprised at this point.
I would be.
Do you think this back end of the roster is just like, okay, I could see why they could keep this guy, but also see why they would keep this guy and not keep that guy. Like it's the back end of the roster is a mess. I'm with you on that.
We both have 9 offensive linemen on the team, so
and I could see that being 10.
I could see it being 10 also. And Naquan Jones is on the team. We have Ugo Amadi on the team. I'm trying to think if there's any other names on this list.
Had 2 pass breakups, looked really good. They're going to get a lot out of him. He's going to be that player, like I said on the show on Thursday. He's going to be that player that I bashed a little bit at the beginning, and then here he is going to be all-pro awesomeness.
Yep, all-pro awesomeness. I like that. So I think that's about it. I would not be floored if Logan Woodside made the final 53, but I would be surprised.
Yeah.
So I think Willis does everything you need. I don't know why. And frankly, to your point about like having heartburn about a decision, like I would be much more upset if they lost David Anini than Logan Woodside.
Yeah, right.
Like I don't care if Logan Woodside goes somewhere else. I don't care. Like I'm not trying to be disrespectful to Logan Woodside, but I don't care. So all right, which brings us to old momentum on West End, baby. So SEC football coming up week number 1. We'll do a huge preview on Thursday, so make sure you check that out. I like that. That's very well done. Anchors allay, he says. And I'm wearing my Victory Monday shirt in honor of Ricky Scott, my main man, Ricky Scott. Shout out to Ricky Scott, who runs the Kingston Group, former Vanderbilt Commodore quarterback, now runs the Kingston Group, Nashville's locally owned custom home and remodeling firm. Make sure you go check out the Kingston Group, buildkg.com if you're going to make a big decision about your house. talk to Ricky's guys. Anchor down, baby. His Commodores with a huge W, 63-3 run on Saturday night. I got a few tweets, Zach, from some folks saying like, "Uh-oh, Clark Lee's in trouble because Hawaii went down the field and scored a touchdown."
Oh,
And then
well,
never.
I mean, your boy over at 102.5 said the game was over. It was over.
Who said that?
It's Jared Stillman did.
Oh, yeah. Well, come on. Who reads? You have to read Stillman's tweets after the game. You can't read them in real time. You got to read them after the game. And so listen, it was a great night. Mike Wright had a fantastic game at quarterback, 160 yards rushing, 2 touchdowns on the ground, broke off a long one. I told you they were going to cover the spread. I told you they're going to hit the over 2.5. It was a big win on Saturday night. Congratulations. And then they gained more momentum with some naming rights announcement on Monday. First Bank is going to name the stadium for 10 years. That's a big chunk of cash. I mean, I guess having your name on that stadium is a positive for your business. I don't know. I guess.
Do you think Vanderbilt fans are going to be up in arms over it because they're kind of like a weird traditionalist group, right?
I think if they changed the name of Memorial Gym or Hawkins Field, they'd be pissed.
Gotcha.
But the football stadium is kind of I don't think they'd be all that upset about it. Honestly.
I mean, this Hawaii game and Mike Wright looking great and everything. Does it change your outlook about this team at all? Like, do you said to bet over 2.5 wins, right? For the season. Do you feel like that? First off, that seems like it's going to be a good bet. They only have to win 2 more games, but do you think they could win more games than 3? Like, what does this tell you about this team?
I think it tells me that there is some proof of concept for Clark Lee tearing the whole thing down to the studs and starting to rebuild it, which is a good step. I think Mike Wright has all the things you want out of a player to be successful, and he clearly showed that he was in control of everything on Saturday night, where last year he was kind of flailing about at times, and I think that's a positive step. But I really think it's about, can you win an SEC game? Because you're going to play Elon and Wake Forest and Northern Illinois. You're not going to beat Wake Forest, probably. If you beat Elon and Northern Illinois, you hit the over. So the key is, can you break I think it's a 21-game SEC losing streak that dates back to October of 2019. They have not won an SEC game since before the pandemic, and they need to. That's the key. Is, can they beat South Carolina or Ole Miss or Missouri maybe? Because I think those are their only 3 that'll even be close. They should have beaten South Carolina last year. So that to me is progress, Zach. If they get to 4 wins and one of them is in the SEC, they will have hit the over. They will have developed a quarterback, shown progress and proof of concept, and broken the streak in the SEC. That to me is, if I'm a Vanderbilt fan, that's what I'm rooting for this year. That's a bar. It's not very high. It's not a very high bar. But
I mean, what do you think of Mike Wright's performance?
I think he was excellent. I mean, now Hawaii changed their coach. They had to fire a coach because he was like running off players and being an asshole. And so Timmy Chain stepped in. They didn't know they're the last place team in the Mountain West. So let's be very honest about how good. You know how there's like good group of 5 teams and then there's like not so good ones?
Right.
That's a not so good group of 5 teams. So I don't want to overreact to Mike Wright being in complete control and over-athleting, just kind of out-athleting a few people at times. But I think there was a battle in my head, in particular, between Ken Seals and Mike Wright. And I think Mike Wright ended that discussion for me on Saturday, so that's good. But I think you need to keep it in context. I think beating Hawaii is going to be one of the worst teams this year, so that's not good. But here's a great stat for you. Clark Lee, head coach at Vanderbilt, now 2-0 all time, undefeated on the road against Mountain West teams.
It's pretty crazy. What do you think about, as a passer, did you see promise? Because, he passed 21 times, but I mean, he did most of his damage on the ground, going 163 yards and 2 touchdowns.
That's my concern.
Yeah.
He's not, like, again, Seals has the better arm and is more accurate. We sort of know that about Mike Wright. The question is going to be when you start getting into games like against Tennessee or against Florida or against, even Missouri or South Carolina, where you're probably going to have to throw it to beat them. I don't know if you can run around and beat teams in the SEC. I just don't think you can. Not without some threat. I think the defense the front 7 might be a little bit better than we thought, because Anthony Orgy's really, really good and he had a great game. I gotta see Mike Wright against real competition, and so we'll find out against Wake Forest in a couple weeks. Like, Wake Forest is sort of like an upper middle class SEC team, So we'll see.
I think it's going to be interesting to watch this coach, who we pretty much said is one of the most boring coaches, you can listen to in a press conference. But will his style of coaching, will the way that he builds a team work for Vanderbilt and kind of bring them into not the upper echelon of SEC teams, but will he be able to compete with, Arkansas when KJ Jefferson leaves? Like, will he be able to compete with like Missouri and these teams instead of being these clearly bottom of the barrel of the SEC teams?
So I think Clark Lee's message, his shtick, his delivery, it doesn't work in press conferences. It doesn't work as like a public speaker situation. But I think his message and how he builds relationships has a lot of substance. And so I think what he's doing is the right strategy for Vanderbilt, which is to, again, tear it all down and then piece by piece, player by player, build it back up extremely slowly with a lot of patience from the administration. This new investment that they're getting, not only just from the naming rights, but from their actual spending on the football stadium and the locker rooms and everything and the facilities that they're going to invest in. I think all of it has to come together. And what you're hoping for, like to your point about like upper echelon is not a thing, but like, can they get to 6-6, like 2 out of 3 years, let's say, or maybe every other year? And is Clark Lee capable of that? I'm not ready to say no. I think the answer is maybe. I think the answer is, well, let's see what progress looks like this year. And if they show us progress this year, which we saw on Saturday night, albeit against a bad team, but if they show us progress, then I think there's reason to continue the slow build and the investment and the patience. And I think that's all you're asking for if you're a Vanderbilt fan right now. Anchor down, baby. Anchors a lay.
Anchors a lay. And that was a really good one. I really like that one. I also
you wouldn't even
about,
tell me about it before the show. You're like, I got it. Such a good pun.
I also had Vanderbilt erupts. Yeah,
that's a layered one there.
Yeah,
you gotta know. Yeah. I like that one. That's not bad. The offense erupts.
Yeah,
Mike Wright, lava flow. I get it. That's done. I like it. Okay.
Yeah.
Are we done?
No, about those.
Is that it on the show? All right. So check out Kingston Group, of course, buildkg.com. Check out Weiss Liquors as well, and make the case why you should be in our fantasy football league for a football show. We've got 8 slots available. So make your case. A couple of you guys that are on the YouTube comment sections here will be grandfathered in, but just make your case either in the comments or on the Twitters. Where can people find you, and what should they do with all their notifications, Zach?
At FWordsPod on Twitter. You need to go to 440 Sports on Twitter, at Braden Gall on Twitter, at BroadwayTN on Twitter. Turn on those notifications. You need to go to BroadwaySportsMedia.com and buy their annual package. Right now, you can get your first month for 99 cents if you use the code Insider, but go get the annual packages. Save 40% off the monthly rate, because there's so much going on. You're going to get exclusive access. In fact, last Wednesday, I did a Zoom call, kind of like a fireside chat, where we just kind of drank and talked to each other. And you're going to get that with different personalities, not just going to be me there every Wednesday. And then you're going to have exclusive access to Mike Herndon's new show, his weekly video show. That's where he's going to be talking Titans and answering questions, probably doing a lot of deep dives, deeper than what his articles are over at paulkarski.com. So you got to go join this stuff. You got to go and put in the money. It's $49 if you pay it all up front, and that saves you 40% off the monthly fee. It's perfect. So go there. Go to the YouTube channels of 440 Sports, and go to the one over at Broadway Sports Media and turn on those notifications and tell everybody about it.
It's less than $5 a month, guys. Just go support local media, local businesses, local clients, local advertisers, local hosts, local music. Special thanks to Moon Taxi, by the way, for providing us with our theme song every single day on a football show, every single episode on a football show. We love them. So turn all the notifications on. Please share the product. Tell everybody about it. We've got other great shows as well. Club and Country covering Nashville SC. We got the Gold Standard. It's All Your Fault, of course, covering the Nashville Predators. We got all Music City Audible, F-Words Pod from Broadway Sports. You got lots of great stuff. If you are a Nashville sports fan, there is no reason for you not to be consuming all of this content across all of the platforms. And we appreciate all of you guys for listening and supporting us. So thank you so much. We'll talk to you on Thursday. We'll preview all of week 1 in the SEC, and we'll break down the Titans' 53-man final decisions. We'll do all of that on Thursday.
I'm excited for the SEC talk, by the way, when we got some really good games for us coming up on this weekend.
It is a spectacular first weekend of action in what I think is going to be one of the best seasons of SEC football in modern history, bar none. Full stop. Going to be a lot of fun. Yeah, because Alabama's picked to win every game by 1,000,000 points.
Yeah.
Roll Tide, baby.
That's just par for the course.
And the Auburn athletic director's already been fired. It's great.
Yeah.
It's great. It's great. So we'll talk all about that, of course, on Thursday. For Zach, I am Braden. Thank you guys for hanging out with us. This has been a football show.